Smart 24, driving business.
Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining us for this live broadcast. This is Business Today. I'm Rana Nahabwe, together with Winanaka Uchi for the sign language interpretation. Special thanks to you who has joined us earlier on at 7 p.m. with Brian Alvis Mugera for the Agafa Biobusubuzi Bulletin. And special thanks to you that has just joined us for the point conversation, such an insightful conversation. Before we kick it off, Business Today is a quick look at what made the top stories. In Business Today, Uganda Manufacturers Association confederates with UIA, NCBA Bank to foster insurance and ease access to loans. And Uganda Export Promotion Board targets Germany and Cairo markets as exporters urge government to slash shipping costs. Parliament spans Finance Ministry's decision to bypass Uganda Road Fund as 250 million shillings is so far disbursed to every district local government. You're welcome once again to Business Today. I'm Rona Nahabwe. Now, Uganda Manufacturers Association has partnered with Uganda Insurance Association, NCBA Bank and URA to enforce insurance and ease access to loans using insured securities. Addressing quality assurance, tariff barriers and other hindrances are among a number of factors under scrutiny to improve export capacity and competitiveness in the region. Ronia Katsime has more.
As a crucial contributor, accounting for 30% of the country's revenue, the manufacturing industry still grapples with a number of challenges, from tariff barriers, issues related to quality and standards. Additionally, there is also a gap between investment in the sector and more needed value addition on the products produced.
Compared to their previous charges of certification to the point of getting a mark. So, one of the areas that we are looking about for improvement would be to harmonize, to see that our industry or the sector may not go as far as paying abnormous charges, and yet we are losing the competitive advantage across the region.
Now, against that background, we have identified 5 big issues to address for purposes of turning around the economy. To begin with is that at WUMA we recognize that 70% of our membership is SME, and we know that these SMEs were distorted by COVID-19, and therefore they need to recover. Government of Uganda got money in excess of 200 billion. It is stuck in the banks because the SMEs are not borrowing. So one of the conversations that we have put on table now is how to use this money so that we recover the economy.
Nevertheless, the Uganda Manufacturers Association has joined forces with key stakeholders in the sector, such as the Uganda Insurers Association and NCBA Bank. This strategic partnership is aiming to address most of the challenges with great emphasis on simplifying ways which manufacturers can access finances.
The manufacturing sector accesses financing from banks. The banks want guarantees that the credit they are forwarding or advancing to the manufacturing sector is backed by securities that are insured. There is no bank that will offer a credit facility to a businessman without understanding the risk profile and how they are managing their risk internally. A bank will ask for collateral, but that collateral will most likely be insured, and that is the role of insurance.
We continue grappling with same problems in Uganda. This time around, we thought that as Uganda Manufacturers Association, we start doing it differently by addressing growth in the economy, so that once the economy grows, then taxation becomes a very simple matter because the base will be big, and if each one of us contributes, it will be easier for government to raise revenue.
Trying to grow the tax base so that, as you said, we don't squeeze the members right here who are helping to develop Uganda. What we are doing in line to that is we are continuing with our strategy of digitalization. You must have seen the Mpa City Yange that we are running with. You must have seen the Because of You that we are doing to try and build the social contract with our taxpayers. You must have seen the digital stamps that we're trying to do. How is that helping the taxman? We are trying to get information. The more information we get about the players in the market, the better for us.
The sector has also been highly capital intensive to enhance its capacity for exports. This indicates its promise to fuel economic growth in the country once fully supported, given its contribution of job creation, more revenue and attracting investors in the country. Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Thank you, Bronya Katsime, for that report. Now, moving on to the Uganda Road Fund, a section of members of the Parliamentary Committee on Physical Infrastructure have protested the decision by Ministry of Finance to bypass Uganda Road Fund and instead directly disburse money to the district local governments. Remember, the Road Fund's mandate in part involves expediting such decisions for roadworks. The Finance Ministry, however, indicates that the decision follows Cabinet's approval. Take a look.
This financial year, each district was allocated 1 billion shillings for road maintenance and rehabilitation, and Parliament directed that this money goes through the road fund. Ministry of Finance has, however, dispersed some monies to districts, but the money went through local councils, which some MPs have protested.
They have gone through the Uganda Road Fund because Uganda Road Fund has clear guidelines on utilization and breaching the gaps for corruption, because this money, when it goes direct to the district without our input, that's when it's in Toroko now. I don't know what they did. We are out, so I don't know which plans, which roads they have planned. So Uganda Road Fund creates the committee where I sit as an individual. It's easier for me to monitor. First of all, be in preparation, be in plan of preparing which roads to prioritize the roads, drawing of plans, approval. So monitoring is easier for me.
Honorable Chair, if this 1 billion comes to our area, in our districts, what we had in our minds is to solve the bottlenecks, the roads that are not in good condition. And now when you look at the strings that have been tied by the Ministry of Works and Finance and the rest, you will find that 1 billion in Chegegwa district, you may end up working on either 1 road or 2 roads or 3 only. And it will not bring any impact. And people will just say, you see, this money is just eaten and no work done. And we have been using Uganda Road Fund. Members of Parliament have been sitting on this committee, and no complaint and work has been going on very well, and we have achieved a lot.
According to members of Parliament, some of the districts which have received this money do not have a work plan. Yet if this money was going through the road fund, it wouldn't be the case. The legislators say local councils are fond of misappropriating this money, and oftentimes they do not want to involve the legislators who are the overseers of these monies.
If we have guidelines set, consultations must be made. I don't know whether the guidelines that were made in May 2023, there were consultations. But even then, Mr. Chair, the guidelines clearly state that members of parliament, I mean the roads committees, district road committees, must be involved in making priorities and approving the work plan. The work plan is a management tool. Here we are, when you look at the status of implementation of the guidelines. Mr. Chair, it is clear that money has been already given to even entities that have not submitted.
The Finance Minister, Honorable Matia Kasaija, has however informed the committee that as Cabinet they decided that the 1 billion shillings goes direct to the districts and be monitored by the Roads Committee on which MPs sit. He has also informed the MPs that because of budget constraints, they have only been able to disperse 28 billion shillings for road equipment.
I don't know, because I'm also a member of parliament, as you know. All members of parliament should be members of the road committee, chaired by the members of parliament, not the LC5 chairman or something like that. So I really don't know why this matter is an issue. Districts without equipment. My colleague will make a statement on this. I'm already under instructions by the president to work with some district. Yes. Can I repeat? I am already under instructions by the president.
Speaker Mong directed the Committee of Physical Infrastructure to assess why the budget for road fund keeps reducing each financial year, yet roads play a vital role in the economy of this country. The committee's report is expected to be tabled on the floor of Parliament tomorrow during plenary time. Sam Lanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, shifting our focus to the Russia-Africa Summit, President Museveni has set off for the Russia-African Summit starting tomorrow in St. Petersburg. Museveni is among the 49 African presidents expected at the convention, as trade, food security, and global security are major highlights. A review of the 2019 deliberations is also expected at the summit.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has set off for Russia, where the Kremlin Africa Summit kicks off tomorrow. A review of progress of the 2019 summit and current challenges are on table for discourse. The two leaders are expected to talk about a wide range of things, including trade, investment, security, and cooperation on humanitarian efforts. The two-day event follows the 2019 summit in Sochi that inspired the signing of over 92 agreements, contracts, and memorandum of understanding worth over $11 billion, benefiting several African countries in key areas such as energy generation and education. This year's summit is expected to tackle food security and trade, given the tension inspired by the Russian-Ukraine war and the blockade on the Black Sea grain deal.
Wow. Looking at organic agro-production, agro-experts have emphasized promotion of robust domestic trade for organic ecological zone-based products before shifting attention to the international market. According to Pelam Uganda, whose focus is on ecological land use and management, government needs to enforce certification owing to the fact that the global markets are attracted to certified organic products, an expensive avenue as of now. Pedson Mumbele has more of this report.
According to data from the Ministry of Agriculture, the global demand for organic products has increased and is estimated to reach at $135 billion in 2021, up from $15.6 billion in 2016. But you can imagine the Uganda's market share on that money is only 5%. Where is the missing link? Pelham Uganda is saying that most of the export market is focused on expensive certified products, whereby most farmers in Uganda do not reach. And now agricultural experts are saying that it's time we enhance our domestic market before we turn our attention to the global market.
We believe that agroecology is one way that is going to reduce the consumption of unhealthy foods, but also allow our farmers to access a premium price locally or regionally. The export market focuses more on certified organic products. We all know that certification by third parties is quite expensive, and government is doing very limited effort to ensure that our products are certified third party to penetrate into the international markets.
However, there are so many parts in Uganda that are already demanding fruits that are healthy and organically or agroecologically produced. Let's develop the local market first. Let's supply to the local market first. Let's ensure that the local market is appreciating the health.
According to the study that was conducted by NOGAM, it reveals that the Ugandan demand for organic products has also increased up to 10%. But of course, if you look at some of the statistics here, they're saying that the global organic food market is expected to grow at 14.59% per annum to reach $368.94 billion in 2026. That's according to a report from Report Linkup. But now the question is, will this certification process help us to reach there?
Most of our farmers are mixed. They practice the conventional agriculture and also the organic agriculture. So they end up mixing the tools they are using in the both farms, which is not acceptable in organic. They end up compromising the organic integrity, which is also not acceptable. So it is hard for them to maintain the span of the certificate, because once we find that, it is automatically revoked.
The certification is a lot of money that smallholder farmers cannot afford. Let's start with you. Don't you want some very healthy tomatoes? Everyone needs healthy tomatoes, needs healthy vegetables, healthy fruits, healthy everything. The issue of trust and culture within Africa is already very clear, and it works on its own by tradition. Let's go by that as certification number one. But there are also other cheaper systems, such as the participatory guarantee systems, where groups of farmers create systems within themselves that can develop group certification processes that are not so expensive, that consumers can use to ensure that products are healthy as claimed by the farmers that are producing.
Just there are big problems when it comes to the certification of these organic products in Uganda to hit the international market. Still, these products have been contributing to the growth of the Uganda's GDP, like the statistics showing that the organic exports increased from 9.6 billion to 16 billion in 2003 and 2004, before jumping to 59.5 billion in 2007 and 8, and by 2010 and 11 it has increased to 109.6 billion. That's how the organic product market is contributing to the Uganda's gross domestic production. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
With that, and now looking at the international market access, Uganda Export Promotion Board, in partnership with the Trade Facilitation Office of Canada and the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, have urged exporters to follow the export capability grid and develop competitiveness on the international market. In turn, local exporters have rallied government to speed up the organic certification process and ensure that their products attract value. Take a look. Uganda primarily exports agriculture products comprising 80% of total exports. The key export items are coffee, gold, tea, cotton, copper, oil and fish. Major export partners include Sudan, Kenya, DRC Congo, Netherlands, Germany, South Africa and the United Arab Emirates. According to data from the Uganda Export Promotion Board, exports for financial year 2022-2023, that is to say from July 2022 to May 2023, reached $4.8 trillion with an estimated value of $573.57 billion for June in 2023. Uganda Export Promotion Board, the Trade Facilitation Office of Canada, and the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation have discussed incorporating practices to meet international market demands. With a focus on timely quality delivery, exporters are urged to improve export capabilities and eliminate unnecessary aspects in their trade. Markets in Germany and Cairo have already been secured.
Means to address the issue of time, especially when we are talking about export. Export is not about dealing with the Ugandans, it's about dealing with the rest of the world. And other part of the world, they do respect time. Before you dive into the manual, it's better you first work on your timing. And through this manual, we have been able to train 50 district commercial officers and other key institutions that are supporting the SME.
There are certain things they need to begin doing more. There are certain things they need to be doing differently to enable the product or the company or the individual to excel. So it is specific to the company, it is specific to the product.
With trade, companies do business. And therefore it is incumbent and very paramount that the government invests in marketing itself. That the government invests in marketing its products. And no one will do it for you.
The right time, at that the particular time you want that's the time you want it. So for you, as somebody who supplies or exports, you must ensure that this product actually reaches that place at the right time. These fellas don't want to say, oh, you know, I missed the flight, or my suppliers didn't supply. That is your business.
Exporters also emphasize government's role in accelerating the organic certification process to enhance competitiveness and increase market value for their products. Additionally, they seek intervention to address the issue of shippers reportedly claiming 60% of exporters' profits.
Because most of us know that the world out there, Europe out there, needs products that are organic. In our own statistics, the country smallholder farmer does not use a lot of fertilizer or even fertilizer like our counterparts within East Africa. Take the case of Kenya. So our production at the value chain node of production still remains a given that our farmers are producing organic. Now, we as SMEs are also buying from these farmers and processing organic. But we have no organic certification.
For that opportunity we had gotten in, to supply hibiscus in Germany, they were offering 1 kilo of hibiscus, which is conventional, which is non-organic. They were offering $3 per kilo. However, they put a condition that if your hibiscus is organic, then they were offering $12. You see how much we are missing. And Uganda as a country, I really wanted it to come out during this strategy of export, that Uganda as a country, our niche is first of all agriculture, which is our backbone, but we have to go extra mile and have that niche of organic products, because our farmers are organic by default.
You know, when you go on the market, it doesn't mean they are going to follow you and take each and everything and say bring containers. It is a step by step. They will take one container, then as you get more motivated, you get more money and you increase stock.
Fostering a conducive business environment, streamlining certification processes, and addressing issues like timely delivery and fair shipping costs will contribute to the country's economic advancement and enhance its position in the international trade arena. Rona Nahabwe, Mary Towali, Business Today for Smart 24 TV. Well, that specific report will usher us into a short break, but we will return with more. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
Luxury redefined at Seasand Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasand Hotel, so visit today at Plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasand Hotels, luxury redefined.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste of Uganda, yeah,
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Thank you for sticking with us. You're still with Rona Nahabwe together with Winnie Wiyinza Nakauchi for the sign language. Now looking at inclusive PDM, Ministry of Trade, Labour and Social Development together with Care Uganda have partnered to ensure PDM inclusiveness for women. Under the Deliver Women Project, economic resilience through enterprise, market systems and the two bodies seek to ensure women in southwest and northern Uganda can control and enjoy government interventions like PDM and grow like the rest. Janet Daniel reports.
The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and Care Uganda have set up a working partnership to convene the often sidelined grassroots women into development programs such as the parish development model, citing blockades like restricted ownership of productive property as a big impediment. The project targets economic resilience to over 340,000 women and as well as fostering gender transformative policies and favorable market systems.
This project will strengthen the economic resilience of 340,000 women in Uganda to transition from micro and small enterprises and complement other programs, especially PDM and GROW projects.
Just last week, government expressed commitment to the embattled parish development model, pointing out that just 9 parishes have missed out on disbursement of the 100 million allocation per parish.
Had pledged in the previous pronouncements in the last financial year, all the parishes in Uganda, with an exception of 9, received their 100 million shillings which we promised as government. The 9 parishes which are remaining, I think just had errors in the documentation and their money is going to be deposited.
The Commissioner, Gender and Women Affairs, Angela Nakafero, has pointed out financing and policy challenges affecting women, yet being the dominant participants of the agricultural and market economy. She also noted that the current environment is disabling for women in business.
The aspect of providing an enabling environment, so the point of laws and policies is very important, but also the aspect of infrastructures that are supportive to women's enterprises. We need training institutions. We need the markets that are enabling for women to participate and concentrate on their enterprises. Of course, we have those special needs for women. The sanitation within our markets, the child care facilities within our markets.
Ministry Permanent Secretary Agrey Chibenge has defended government's political will to support women entrepreneurs, citing PDM funds allocation as pro-women.
According to the guidelines of PDM, 30% of the 100 million is supposed to be ring-fenced for women. I tried to do a quick computation. If 30% of 100 million is 30 million per parish, and there are 10,594 parishes in this country, that gives us close to 318 billion Uganda shillings that government is deploying for the benefit of women in this country.
The project shall run for 3 years, targeting agricultural and market women in light of more demand to have the grassroots women in the decision-making and policy implementation space. Gene Daniel, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Look at media monopoly and see what's taking course. Media stakeholders are bound to meet the president on 10th next month following the dispute over his decree to channel state advertisement through government media entities. Now, Ivan Tibenkana linked up with the National Association of Broadcasters Secretary Joseph Beanga to weigh in on the rift, as majority of the 218 radio stations and 68 televisions plus print media entities are private owned.
All right, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Ivan Tibenkana, and to everyone that's on to Business Today. Well, it's a big day for you to delve into one of the biggest disputes you can talk about in Uganda currently. But basically, this covers the media, President Museveni's directive, and then the fear of implementation. What lies ahead if at all advertisement from government is cut off for the private media? And of course, when we talk about the private media, specifically, you can talk about radios, televisions, and then the newspapers, the guys that are into print. So it's quite some interesting conversation. We have the National Association of Broadcasters, which is more of the union. When you talk about the teachers, they have a union. Likewise, the nurses and then the medical personnel as well do. So joining us tonight is Joseph Beanga. He's the head of Radio NMG Group, and most importantly, when it comes to this matter, he has a hand in the National Association of Broadcasters. Joseph, welcome to Business Today.
All right, the dispute just did not start yesterday. It actually started on 6th of March 2023 when the president wrote the prime minister directing about the funding of UBC. I don't remember the headline. But in their point number one was they directed to give 30 billion shillings to UBC this financial year, and that's 2023-2024. And then point number two, which became a matter of all contention, is directing that all government advertising should go through UBC. I don't know what that means. And then, lo and behold, as the financial year started, that directive has been implemented by a circular from the PSST, and that's Mr. Ramadan Gobi, directing all accounting officers to do that. Short of that, you are dismissed. So that comes with so many things. You ask yourself, one, is this directive within the laws that govern Uganda? Because we are talking about laws that promote a free economy, whereby it's supposed to be fair competition for all the players. You have private players competing against government parastatals. Now that's one question. The second question, you are taking at least one of the biggest advertisers out of the economy, already a small economy. With all respect to Ugandans, yes, Uganda is a small economy. We're still fighting to get to better income. So, and what's the future of the media? We're talking about a media that employs thousands of people, that if we weren't paying taxes, URA would have closed us a long time ago. So the impact on the economy, the impact on the issues of governance, the impact on actually the industry itself. So that's where the contention comes from, and that's why we wrote and had a meeting with the Minister of ICT, Dr. Chris Palimusi. We wrote and had a meeting with the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Robert Banja, and we wrote to the President, and he finally replied and inviting us for a meeting on 10th of August. Hopefully we will resolve this, but in the meantime, before we get there, we are saying, even as we are not going to cover it.
Just from your submission about the very first question, there's something that has come up, UBC, and this is a government entity, obviously. Now, there's something I'm interested in knowing. As per this directive, let us assume it's been on grounds of revenue, government entities being on a downside. Is there anything that the private sector, private-owned media entities that have done that's better than the entities owned by government in terms of revenue collection? Creativity, innovation, among other elements?
I mean, if you're using, there are so many parameters you can use to measure how the different sectors are playing, the different entities are playing in this sector. One of them is you can use the audience ratings. What are the viewers and the listeners, what's their preference? Two, you can use the advertisers' preference. Where are the advertisers putting their money? Because if I'm a private player in the industry, I will put my money where I expect the best return.
Exactly.
So if they choose to put their money with the private media houses, it means the private media houses are giving them a good return. There's no brilliant investor who will throw his money in a bottomless pit. So in this case, I would say the private media, the way they manage their business, and yes, a few media houses, if you talk about National Association of Broadcasters, a few media houses have had a few challenges in terms of being viable businesses. And one of the questions we've been discussing in the last 2-3 years, ever since the COVID hit us, is viability of media. A few media houses are no longer that profitable, and even a small percentage breaks even. The majority are struggling to break even, and many people are still keeping media houses because of different reasons, and maybe because of the hope the economy will turn around and your fortunes will turn around. Most of the time it turns around, depending on how you're doing your projections. But without going into the details of UBC, and I'm not really privy to lots of their details, we've seen before in media, we've seen before, even some of them came around in court documents, others came around in parliament, being a public entity, some of those records come up. They've been, and even the president in his letter, point number 6, he talked about issues of mismanagement at UBC, though he says he will revisit those ones later. So I think you can talk about management. How are we running different businesses? Is that an issue? Is UBC facing one of those issues? I'm not saying they're being mismanaged, I'm just asking a question. Because even other media houses, they are having a challenge of profitability. And these are the questions we talk about. And some of them, when you go and visit and have a chat and have a conversation with people, somebody comes back 6-9 months down the road, says, I'm doing better. Your advice worked. So is there something that UBC can borrow from the private player? Yes, there's a lot. There's a lot we can learn from each other. There's a lot I've learned from you since we started having a conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
You've mentioned about profitability, and I'm looking at advertisement being one of the elements media relies on to generate revenue. From the many challenges that the private sector faces, private media entities, where does advertisement rank? A chop from government saying, okay, we're not giving you any more advertisement. If we take it away, where does it rank as a factor?
It's a big one. You're talking about 15 to 20% or thereabouts. And then somebody has been arguing that, in the new budget, advertising as a vote or communication has been shrunk out. But look, there's no government that functions without communicating.
Absolutely.
So it may be there as a vote in the budget, it may not be there, but government will always communicate. Because if you look at the way they run, you talk about bidding. If they are going to follow the PPDA rules, they have to advertise. Well, if they are looking at hiring people, they have to advertise the jobs. If they are looking at disposing of assets, they have to advertise. So either way, the government will advertise. The government will always advertise. And then for our sake in Uganda, the government still remains the biggest advertiser.
Okay. Let's shift the conversation a little bit from the advertisement to the association. Now, it's more of a union. I'm interested in knowing, you're a member, you're a secretary actually, to put it into perspective. How has the media space, players, private sector players, adhere to the union?
It's an association, so we can't come into your house to tell you how to run your house. Okay. But we set out guidelines of which are accepted, they are shared, and we say we are going to do A, B, C, D. You can choose to
join.
You can choose to toe the line, or you can choose to go your way. We will not force you. So what we do is we set out to protect the common good. And as members, I'll tell you some of the issues we've pushed for in the media. You heard about the controversial 2%, that 2% taxing 2% of your gross, not profit, gross revenue. And that was contentious. We waived it, and then hopefully find it to be out of the act. There are so many issues that we've been pushing where the media players, individual media players have benefited. So I don't want to go ahead and say, we dictate your editorial policy. We don't. But we give you these principles of a good editorial policy that you should have in your media house. Because we are not talking about public broadcasters per se. We are not talking about any media. We are talking about media that aspires to be called free and independent media. We've had several trainings on media management. We've had several trainings on the technical side. So there are so many things that the association brings together for the benefit of individual media houses. How you choose to run your media house is your business. As long as you are law abiding, we really need to make sure our media houses are law abiding. It's one, so that to reduce the conflict between you and the regulator. Two, you give your staff contracts. It's important that people work with contracts because the welfare of your people, if the welfare of your people is not taken care of. So we share the good principles. It boils down to the individual managers of the specific media houses to either implement or look on.
You just mentioned about contracts, and if you take if you decide to take an insightful survey among the players, journalists, and other stakeholders in the media space, you will find that as it is with Uganda at large, many of them are working out of contracts. And the proprietors will tell you that one of the reasons rests with the annual revenue. How much are we making to bind you into occupation? So I'm interested in knowing, besides this conversation rotating around media advertisement among other things, how challenging is the media operation? We are talking about so many radio stations, so many televisions with many expenses, tax, miscellaneous, you have stuff that you have to pay, among other things. How challenging is it to start business in Uganda as a media?
Tax is a good challenge to have. If you have a huge tax burden, it means you're making money. If you're not making money, you have no tax burden. So I'd rather have a huge tax burden. It means I'm getting enough revenue. Other than that, the other things you'll be looking at is the license fees and all that. Those ones are constant. But tax comes, like I won't pay you any commission except if you got in some business. Yeah. So, but that's why, without stepping your question, that's why we're saying already the media is struggling. Already we have these many challenges. Now coming ahead and say, even this other advertiser is going away. Are you working to promote free media, or you are working to kill the media as we know it? So running the media is challenging in the sense that, one, many players in a small economy. That's a question for the regulator. It's not my question because I'm one of the players. And then two, you have a challenge of many media outfits run unprofessionally. The other challenges we are talking about in running the media house is on the side of many people who have come in to set up media houses, because now everybody, as long as you meet the requirements as set out by UCC, you get to have your license to run your media house. But there are people who have come in, each one of them for different reasons. One, somebody has come in, I want to promote my church. Another one, I want to promote my business. Another one, I want to promote my community. Another one, I'm a politician, I also just for my constituency, for mobilization. So those are different players in the industry, all of them with different objectives. And every community, if you move around Uganda, 200 plus radio stations. Every corner, every village you go to, there are 2 or 3 radio stations. TV stations of 100 plus. So you just look, at the end of the day, different people coming with different objectives. Very few are coming in to offer that public good, which is journalism, which is good, independent information that enable people to make independent decisions. So the many players being in the sector also is another challenge that we have when you're looking at the media spectrum. Then, not lastly, and neither least, is we also have unprofessional players. And you have, I'm not talking about Ivan here. You have practitioners, somebody, and I'm not saying everybody should go to mass comm to just study journalism and all that. No, when you come, what makes you professional or unprofessional is adhering to the code of conduct and the ethics that guide a specific industry. Absolutely. Whether you're an engineer or you are a journalist or whatever. So the adherence to the principles and the ethics of the sector also matters. Yes. And then those are some of the challenges. I can go on and on.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, those are the top lines.
Now, there is one area that is cropping up across East Africa and world over. It's more of a demystification of what traditional media has always been. And then we are having online journalists, bloggers, people cropping up almost everywhere. To the traditional players, how much of an impact is this, the changes in the way journalism has always been transacted?
No, I would say I'm a believer in innovation. For starters, innovation. Innovation is not necessarily new things, but new ways of doing the things we do. So what we have at the moment is innovation in the way we distribute our content. So back in the days before you and me were born, it was only print.
Exactly.
Came TV, came radio. From radio now we are online. We're online, we say everybody can be a journalist. But guess what? When you go to Twitter in Uganda, the leading individuals on Twitter are what we call the old school traditional media houses. You're talking about Daily Monitor, New Vision, the likes, yeah. So I wouldn't say it's a new challenge. It's just a new way of distributing content. And what it does, it may be a challenge maybe to the regulators, because now everybody is a media player.
Absolutely.
You find individuals with thousands of, hundreds of thousands of followers, which may even be bigger than a regulated media house. Now, you remember some time back UCC was talking about registering the online people, especially those who solicit commercial advertising. So I wouldn't call it, I love the innovation, I love the progress, I would never look at it as a challenge. It actually comes with many opportunities.
I'm interested in understanding one, in your own perspective, maybe as a media personnel or someone that benefits of the industry. Away from advertisement, is there something you would think of as an alternative for the media to pull extra revenue as far as operations are concerned?
No, I mean, different businesses have different business models, and one of the ways you need to look at, and this one they've taught it. I've had motivational speakers, business moguls, and all that, read it in different books, but the principle, whether you paraphrase it or get it right or wrong, it's always look at ways of adding value to your consumers. When you look at adding value to your consumers, consumers will always add value onto you. And as somebody said, if you are a media house, which problem are you solving? If you're solving a problem today of your audience, if you're solving a problem of your viewers, definitely your viewers will listen more to you. And when viewers listen more to you, then definitely you stay relevant to them, you stay relevant to your advertisers, you stay relevant to everybody, and the money will come in. We may call it advertising, we may call it partnerships, we may call it content distribution, we may call it commercial production, we may call it whatever you want to call it. But just think always of one thing. Which problem are you solving? You solve one problem, definitely the benefits are always.
Well, that's a key takeaway that I can't add voice to, adding value to the society, perhaps to put it lightly. So for the media entities that are transacting business in the Ugandan economy, maybe that's key for sustainability. But we're talking about over 200 radio stations and 60 televisions. So to this effect, assuming the decree is implemented, would it be an implosion or a key takeaway for sustainability? Well, this is Business Today, and I'm Ivan Tibenkana. A good night to everyone that's been watching.
Thank you so much, Ivan Tibenkana, together with your guests, for that insightful conversation. There are very many informal constraints that are hampering the media today. The question is, will it survive? From poor remuneration to disgraceful working conditions, poor resources, inadequate funding, all that, lack of training, corruption, you can name it. The question is, will it survive? I will leave that to you. Before I sign out from this bulletin, here's a quick look at what topped our focus tonight. In business today, Uganda Manufacturers Association confederates with UIA, NCBA Bank to foster insurance and ease access to loans. And Uganda Export Promotion Board targets Germany and Cairo markets as exporters urge government to slash shipping costs. Parliament spans Finance Ministry's decision to bypass Uganda Road Fund as 250 million shillings is so far disbursed to every district local government. Once again, thank you for having joined us tonight for this live broadcast. This is Business Today. I'm Rana Nahabwe, together with Winnie Buyinza Uchi for the sign language interpretation. Please follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube to be up to date with the latest business news within the region. I would also encourage you to watch our 7 p.m. bulletin and our other programs because we really need this business information. As always, thank you for having joined us. I'm Rana Nahabwe, and you have a good night.
Smart 24, driving business.
super fast internet. Oh, it's a super camera. It's a super battery.
Phone battery full.
Yeah, it's a super deal. Get the Kabode Super from MTN now at a reduced initial deposit of only 49,000 shillings and pay the balance in Pola for as low as 833 shillings per day. Grab this Super Kabode deal and get 2 GB of free MTN data every month for 8 months. Get the Kabode Super now from any MTN shop countrywide. Everywhere you go, MTN. Regulated by UCC.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
Smart 24, driving business.
A very warm welcome and thank you very much for joining us here wherever you're catching us from. This is time for financial markets. And a big concern, of course, besides it being a concern, I shouldn't actually call it a concern. It's a big move for those of you in the financial market space to ideally get to understand more of what we have in stock for you in regards to the conversations in the show today. But pretty much before we get into all this, remember all the conversations here and the show itself, Financial Markets, being brought to you by the Zabo platform. And if you want to kickstart off your investment journey, that is for those who want to invest in various securities, including the government bonds, you can use the USSD code *292# to kickstart off your investment. Remember, all you need to do is to register using your national identification number, and in the next 24 hours, you will be able to invest with the platform. With a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, for example, you can easily invest in government bonds. The markets on the platform are open from 8:15 a.m., that is from Monday to Friday, till 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. You should as well note that these markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, My Money, My Future. It is powered by Altex East Africa, which does remind you to do something new. Now, well, as we speak, Altex East Africa, some big news for those of you who are trading out there. You get to realize that now Safaricom has already kicked off its trading on the Altex East Africa. And so the debut of Safaricom Limited kicked off Wednesday, today, that is the 26th of July 2023. To discuss this and more and how we've reached this point and what a milestone to think deeper about, we are joined by the CEO of Altex East Africa, Mr. Joseph Chitamirike, to give us more of an insightful understanding of this particular milestone. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon, viewers.
Okay, yes. As we dive into this conversation, really, first and foremost, what does this mean for Altex East Africa?
Safaricom is just the beginning of our equities program. You know that for the last 7 years, we have been trading bonds. We've been trading Uganda government bonds, Kenya government bonds, yes, and exchange traded funds built using Uganda government bonds. So we've been in the bond market since we opened the exchange in 2016. So this is the beginning of the opening of our equities segment. And Safaricom is the first to be listed in that space. And you know, as this year rolls on, we have ambitious plans to bring you a whole new list of equities that maybe people have never even dreamt of accessing. So we'll bring